Hi, 10Q3. A couple of people are a bit stuck on part 7, which admittedly is the most difficult part of the booklet. So I'm just going to work through the very first question, 7.1, to show you how to tackle this. Okay, so part 1 of the question asks you to balance the equation for making ammonia. And you will have done this now quite a few times through the booklet. So we've got a 3 here and a 2 here. That's really important. You've got your balanced equation before you do the next part. Okay, and now for the next part is where you're starting to look at which ones are limiting reactants and which are in excess. It's really important to think about why we're doing this. So if you've got a reactant which might be quite expensive or in limited supply, you want to make sure that all of that reacts completely with to make sure you get maximum yield as much as you can out of it. So in this question, part B1, it is which is the limiting reactant out of the nitrogen or the hydrogen if you reacted half a mole of nitrogen with 3 moles of hydrogen. So you're kind of looking at which one you've got more moles than you needed. So let's tackle this question. Here is the question. It's saying which is the limiting reactant when you reacted half a mole of nitrogen with 3 moles of H2. So first you make a little table. That's the easiest way of doing it. And you put in the mole ratios from the balanced equation. So we've got 1 to 3 to 2. Right, now you just got to pick one of them and decide what you're going with. I'm going to go with the half a mole. So we're going to times it by a half. Okay, so we're matching this. So I want to make this a half too. So 0.5, sorry if it's shaky. I don't have any stand. Right, so now I need to times everything else by a half. Okay. Right, then you finally just look at what was in, what you actually had in the reaction. So what you had. And I had 0.5. Okay, but I also had 3 moles of hydrogen. So looking at that, I had the right amount of nitrogen, but here I've had double the amount of hydrogen. Okay, so nitrogen was the limiting factor because I had just the right amount I needed, and the hydrogen was in excess. I had more than I needed. Okay, so if I've got more than I needed, it's in excess. If I have less, if this number had been less than 1.5, like 1, then the hydrogen was a limiting factor because I had less than I needed for that, and I'd have had extra nitrogen left over at the end. Okay, so that's part 1. So in question part 2, it says there 3 moles of nitrogen reacted with 7 moles of hydrogen. So that means in my container I had that many moles of stuff. So which one did I have more than I needed and which one did I have less than I needed? So this is our equation, our balanced equation. 1 mole of nitrogen reacts with 3 moles of hydrogen to make 2 moles of ammonia. Right, let's see what we've actually got in the mixture. So we're going to balance out the nitrogen. So we're going to times everything by 3. Again, it doesn't matter which one you pick. So now 3 times 3, 9 and 6. But what did we actually have in the container? Well, we had 3 moles of that, but we had 7 moles of hydrogen. Okay, so actually now instead of having more than we needed, we have less than we needed. So the hydrogen, because we got less than we needed, is the limiting factor. And we actually had extra nitrogen, an excess of nitrogen, because after we'd have reacted all of that, we'd have still had some moles of nitrogen left over. Okay. Right. So all this is kind of saying is if I actually wanted to have reacted all of the nitrogen, I'd have needed 9 moles of hydrogen exactly to react with that all. But I actually had less than that. So that is why it's our limiting factor. So we wouldn't have made a whole 6 moles of ammonia, would have made less. Hopefully that's helpful to you. As the questions go on, it does move into first calculating the moles, but then from that you can use this method.